Hello and welcome. You're watching Game On Hai, and today we are going to have Afghanistan versus Scotland match in the Super 12s of the ICC World T20 2021. We are still excited, overwhelmed, and not getting over with what we saw yesterday when Pakistan overhauled, rather pulverized India by a margin of 10 wickets. But that is history, as David Gower said yesterday in the post-match. And Pakistan, they have to look forward, and they have loads to offer in this ongoing tournament. When it comes to Afghanistan, their sensational rise has left all of us impressed, and probably they are the most enigmatic team which we come across in the cricketing world. They have some firepower. Hazratullah Zazai is one of them. Muhammad Shahzad is back to bat for them at the top order. They have Asghar Akhwan, initially known as Asghar Stanakzai, who can bat a bit. And of course, they have highest quality spinners led by Mohammad Nabi, who took actually 3 wickets for 2 runs in 24 balls, and there were 22 dots in Afghanistan's win in the warm-up match against the West Indies. We have loads to talk about Kyle Kodza and Scotland not losing any match and qualifying for the Super 12 round. This is exciting because Afghanistan, under adversity, has finally managed to reach and participate, and there's loads to be discussed. At 5:30 p.m. we'll have our Urdu panel, but for now, I'm blessed to host one of the finest batsmen ever in the history of international cricket. The man we all know is called Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So I didn't call you the king of the kings. I didn't refer to your hitting across the line. I didn't say best of the best. You are the finest.
Thank you.
Pleasure, sir. And the more suave, delectable, graceful, and an extraordinary left-handed batsman. And now my friend David Gower, having joined us all the way from England. Welcome, David.
I love delectable. I'm worried now.
And of course, my co-host in Punjabi, converting into an English expert, one of the finest seaman swing bowler probably in the history of Pakistan cricket. He was never allowed to express the way Babar was allowed yesterday by Saklan Mushtaq. So we have Aaqib Javed with us. Aaqib, most welcome.
Okay, so let's start. Mind my language.
Mind your language. Okay, sir. Starting with you, Afghanistan going through a geopolitical turmoil, and they were war-torn. And then Rashid Khan, their wonder kid across the world, that gentleman left captaincy just suddenly, and it was handed over to Mohammad Nabi. And then the team wasn't being given and granted the visas. They were planning to have a transit in Pakistan and then travel to Dubai. And finally they managed to reach there. How do you see, what is the significance? Because what Afghan players, they reflect is like they're resolute, they're determined, they're aggressive, and they behave like warriors. So how will you be correlating this?
Well, first of all, let me say to Nabi, who is now being presented the captaincy, and have been doing a good job. Obviously, you would have led them well to be part of the whole structure of the Super 12. Why I speak so much about Nabi, he was with us at that particular time when I was with the Quetta Gladiators, and what a magnificent individual. If I'm going to be in any team's corner today, it will most certainly be Afghanistan's corner because of the fact of the individuals. Rashid Khan, I met him a few times, and they're such wonderful people in terms of their manners. They have so much respect for the game and the people who would have played. And when you hear them speak so passionately about the things that they would like to achieve for their country, Afghanistan, as you mentioned earlier, in a bit of turmoil with some of the political stuff that's going on there, they can only do justice to the fact, the nicer side of things. It's about this T20. And I'm just hoping, just the sentimental reasons, that they can come through and be a success.
Well, David, your 2 cents on Afghanistan finally managing to reach Dubai, the Emirates, and now they're participating, and probably they threaten to actually create some upsets, like in their group. So, how can you see their strength? Probably they have the best spinners.
I'll tell you one thing, is their story is worth a lot more than 2 cents.
Oh, right.
The story is incredible. Just the rise of Afghanistan cricket in the last decade alone. From nothing to this. The triumphs they've had, the players they've produced. And for them, this is an extraordinary thing, an extraordinary political situation to be in. For them as players, it must be incredibly hard to isolate themselves from what's going on in their home country, to focus entirely on the cricket. But it's a great, great chance for them to show what it's all about, to show how much pride they have in their sport and their country, despite their country being what we would call in English a bit of a basket case. That's trying to avoid political confrontation. But they've got huge problems. So for them, some of the guys, Nabi, yes, very impressive character. Rashid Khan, who I've watched in the PSL especially, just loves playing cricket, loves doing weird and wonderful things with the cricket ball. Zazai, Hazratullah Zazai, who again I watched in the PSL earlier this year, saw him smash it all around Abu Dhabi. And it goes a long way. Those are three of the team who you want to keep an eye on. And if they fire, if those guys have a good day, they will, as a team, will have a good day.
Probably they have the similar attitude like we see in case of the West Indies. Just go for the bang, 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 hitting and just not looking back.
Well, let's hope they've learnt from that.
What I can tell you is that they're aggressive. I think you would have mentioned that earlier. And it's nice to have that aggression. And the most important thing, they do enjoy what they're doing. And when you enjoy what you're doing and you bring a bit of passion to that, at the end of the day, you're looking for results.
But, sir, I think now this time they have a bit of sanity in the middle order with Asghar Stanaksai. Asghar Afghan is sort of a batsman who can hold the innings together. So they have worked on the weaknesses as well. And Mohammad Nabi, I just don't want to leave you dismayed, but in the warm-up game against the West Indies, he took 3 wickets in 1.5 over and ended up bowling 22 dots out of the 24 deliveries.
What's new?
What's new? So, Aaqib, now coming on to Afghanistan, we also know, I'm not actually going to discredit them, but majority of their players were part of our first-class teams. They were around like playing cricket in Pakistan. And in Peshawar, Rashid Khan was in Peshawar, and Mohammad Shahzad even represented Habib Bank, the department in Pakistan's domestic cricket. And probably they learned their basics while they were in Pakistan, and now they have just gone to Afghanistan and have started to fire at all cylinders. And the way they play, probably their attitude is even better than what we see in case of Pakistan when it comes to T20 international cricket. So how you rate Hazratullah Zazai and of course Mohammad Shahzad, who likes to call himself MS after MS Dhoni, and he's again another delightful character, and his fitness is close to me, I think. But still he bangs the balls out of the park. So what do you have to say?
I know these teams very well because I coached UAE for 5 years. So I know all these names and what their strengths and how good they can be.
Their strengths.
So I think Afghanistan, what a talent waste, because if somebody gave them a good structure, look at their quality of, especially the spin bowling.
It's world class.
I think one of the best spin attack in the
world.
So nowadays in T20, if you got 3 world-class spinners, they can knock out any team.
And not only that, they have Mohammad Nabi or they have Mujibur Rahman or Rashid. They also have the upcoming spinners like that Noor.
The Chinaman.
The Chinaman Noor.
I mean, they got plenty of talent. The leggies. In Big Bash, you will see 4 or 5 Afghanis playing in Big Bash and big leagues. And I met Rashid Khan in this PSL. He played for Lahore Qalandars. What a man he is. I've seen players performing, they got talent, but discipline, the manners,
the work ethics,
the
passion.
Wow. The only few I met. So, the outstanding bunch of players. They got few problematic as well. Shazad and the few.
You find that if
But
you don't
they're-
have little problems every now and
they're-
again,
but
you,
they're-
you don't know what to solve, huh?
Yeah, but their batting is like they got the best of the best spinners in the world, but
Their
as far
batting-
as batting is concerned, they're
it is tricky.
playing against spin is their weaker area.
Uh-huh.
Yes, because
You
when
think they
we
should have enough practice?
yeah, but when we used to play against Afghanistan, 90% UAE used to win because we used to play like 3 left-arm spinners.
So, David, coming on to you about Afghanistan, you fancy their chances in this tournament? Because another part is like the other day Rashid was saying that skill is 20 to 30%, but it's the attitude and, of course, the mental strength that one needs to succeed in international cricket. You think that the problems they are facing at home, the uncertainty, even their Afghanistan Cricket Board has seen a couple of chairmen, being changed and sacked, and so do you think that it will impact their execution and performance?
Well, I think it would be naive to think they can just put it 100% behind them and put everything out of their minds and focus entirely on the game. But that is what sportsmen do, by and large. They find when you find people under pressure, maybe at home, maybe whatever the outside pressures are, when they arrive at a cricket ground, they are focused on the game, and that's the release. That's the thing that makes things better. And so that pride in performance will be important to them. But in terms of the sort of impact they might have on the tournament, let's face it, there are far better sides all round than Afghanistan. So if they have the odd surprise and they can take down one of the bigger sides, that will be, in its own way, a triumph for them.
Yeah. Well, David, that shall be very interesting because India now they have to win throughout to remain intact. But if you could see Afghanistan's this is very, very impressive. They won by 14 runs. It was in 2016, and then they won by 37 runs, won by 17 runs. It's all against Scotland. So another by 7 wickets and another by 27 runs. So there is...
But this reminds me, okay, this is perfect, because this reminds me of what we were saying about the West Indies the other day. They had 5 wins against England in international T20, and I'm afraid, sorry Viv, I've got to remind you,
5-1.
it's now 5-1. So for Scotland, if they're looking for parallels and inspiration, for Scotland, this is their moment to break that sequence.
Yeah, you're so very right. They had David Munzay, who is a world record holder. He hit 11 sixes in a T20 international innings and equaled the world record, which was which was set by Aaron Finch.
Okay.
So probably they have the capacity. Callum McLeod, interestingly, in one of the one-day internationals, scored 49 runs in 31 deliveries of Rashid Khan. So that's I wanted to negate...
always good to have.
Yeah.
Negate what?
That Scotland also plays against, they can be good against spinners.
I was discussing
you were discussing
Afghanistan,
Afghanistan,
falling into that thing.
Okay.
I mean, look, Scotland is a decent side.
Yeah.
All typical English, technically sound players.
Yeah.
But when it comes to quality spin, they're bound to struggle, isn't it? Their bowling side is decent when it comes to supporting pitches. They are accurate seam bowlers, but not in a big way when they're playing in Sharjah, sluggish, slow pitch, they might struggle, the bowlers.
So, but they have some good bowlers actually. Josh Davey, he's been playing international cricket since 2018.
He's been going well in the last couple of weeks,
He picked 8 wickets in the qualifying round.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, sides like Scotland inevitably bring together people from outside of the borders. And we've got South Africans playing there. We had this discussion just before we came on air. The spinner, the seamer, Safyan Sharif.
Yeah.
And we said, now where's he from? Where's he from? Thinking he might have origins in this part of the world.
Is originally from Pakistan.
I'm sure it is, but he was born in, and here's your quiz question for the day, Huddersfield in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
So he's one of these players who will have come from that immense wealth of talent in that part of the world, found his niche in Scotland, as have the South Africans who play there. It's like Holland who brought players in. It's like Ireland who brought players in to strengthen the system.
It's almost the same with England now.
The other day,
to be fair,
I
we've
was
had a
counting.
few born in South Africa.
Yeah.
I played with one fellow called Alan Lamb, who was born in Langemanweg.
Yeah.
It's a Robin Smith, born in Durban. It's all perfectly legal.
Yeah.
It works in the system.
Yeah.
But of course, for countries like Netherlands, Ireland, Scotland, the system is not as good as it is for the major nations by some distance. So they have to survive on the enjoyment of the game, whatever pride they can muster, whatever talent they can muster, and they have to survive on making the most of every opportunity.
Yeah. Well, sir, now, like continuing from where David left, is like ICC, they decided that they have to ensure that this cricket is like, they were working for cricket's expansion. And they gave the international status to 106 associate member teams to play T20 international cricket to attract the commercial market and like broadcasters and etc. But do you think that unless until it's innate, it's indigenous, these expatriates, they can form a team like we see in case of Nepal, Netherlands, even UAE and countries like Canada. Do you think that they can ever compete with the tougher teams and the genuine cricket teams?
If you do have proper organization, yes.
Okay.
And you do have a passion wanting your product to be on show. What I know for sure is that what the ICC have done, the expansion in terms of the cricket base, we have teams like Czechoslovakia these days.
Yeah.
We have
Argentina,
Italy,
Brazil.
Sweden.
Brazil.
Argentina. So it gives you, when you have that particular volume, to me, you're going to get some teams who are properly organized, be able to be part of that bigger
But so the
setup.
counter argument is, sorry for the interjection, that we have lost Zimbabwe because they were qualifying, but they were left out of this World Cup because of the political influence of the government on their cricket board.
There's so many political things happening around the world today.
And interestingly, the other day we were saying that even BCCI, they are not playing with Pakistan because their government is not aligned. So it's a case of political.
So there's so many hypocritical stuff that's happening.
But we have seen the destruction of Kenya. They came up really well. They had some world-class players like Morris Wadambe and Stephen Tekelo, and they were really good.
I mean, all these countries. Kenya was a great story at the time, playing in a World Cup, 50 over World Cup. Canada have played in that. I mean, I played against Canada in 1979, wasn't it? Yeah. We've played. USA have been part of it.
You bowled them out for 45, and now you
true.
come.
Yeah, but I mean, that's, thank heaven for that. Yes. So all these countries, it's a real struggle. Let's face it. I mean, Canada, for instance, I played there. Actually, I went on a tour there when I was about 19, 20 years old, and we played expatriates, Englishmen, South African, Asian, West Indian. Toronto was the best club because it was full of West Indies expatriates who'd gone up there, formed part of the Toronto cricket, skating and curling club.
Yeah, right.
And the cricket was strong. So we had a good game against them. But elsewhere, it's a real struggle for these countries. So all these new countries, let's face it, if you're starting down here somewhere and the target is somewhere through the roof, that's an impossible journey. But just spreading the game, spreading the fun, broadening the game in itself is fine.
Okay.
But I think realistically, you've got to say, none of these countries, Czechoslovakia is not going to be competing for the World Cup in our lifetime, or in any of our children's lifetime, or even their children's lifetime.
You never know. Whoever felt that Afghanistan would have been here?
They do a lot of. It's a point.
Whoever,
It's a point. It's a point.
But
which
they
I
are
can dismiss.
the product of a very organized structure that was like in Pakistan.
Whoever felt Kenya. It's amazing. You give teams the proper structure and the proper organization, and I believe that, and a solid base. Teams can work their way up.
They can, but the best place to learn is from your parents and at school.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have a system which involves cricket or any sport at school level, that's where people get together and that's where they come through. I know it's not impossible. I mean, you're a great ambassador.
Holland.
Yeah, but
Holland in the picture as well.
You guys are
there's a lot more.
UAE. It's a great story.
Yeah.
One good morning, Mudassar rang me and said, UAE looking for a coach. Can you recommend someone? So my daughter was sitting there. And she said, what is he saying, uncle? I said, I need some coach for UAE.
Yeah.
And he said, that guy will live in UAE. I said, yes. Then that guy is you. I said, I can't. I don't know what they play. She said, I don't care.
She was smart.
So I joined. when I joined them, and the first day I went to the Sharjah stadium to meet my team. When I look at them, I saw two doctor-sized players just started padding up. And I said, "Do you play? You?" I mean, few drivers, two bankers, few workers, part-timers. And I said, "How do you train?" He said, "No,
We don't train. We just play."
Just before a tour, we train for 10, 15 days in the evenings, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I went to see a CEO, and I said, "What the hell am I going to do?" And he said, "You decided." I said, "Just tell me, because Gulf News, other news, they wanted to interview me. Why you here and what you going to do?" I said, "Look, give me a dream, what I can achieve, the highest dream." And he said, "Look, we don't have money. Government doesn't support us."
In the UAE?
UAE.
Because the government was not supporting them. Sir.
Wow.
Still, government doesn't support.
Yeah.
And I said, how am I going to survive? He said, "Look, there's only one chance. World Cup, under 19 World Cup qualification is coming up in 1 year.
Yeah.
Then you have T20 qualification, then you have 50 over
Wonder World Cup,
2015 World Cup in Australia, then Asia Cup qualification is coming up. So when you qualify,
You get
the
money.
ICC give you fund, like $1 million, $2 million, 5 million,
Yeah.
something like that. I said, "Okay, that's good." I went out and spoke to the Gulf News and everyone. "Why are you here?" I said, "Look, UAE will play under 19 World Cup, T20 World Cup, 2015 World Cup, and UAE will achieve the ODI status." And they started laughing. I said, "Okay, I'm an ambitious man." So I worked, especially the first 1.5 year, every morning,
On the fitness?
Sharjah to train under 19. No, to train in the morning, used to all the way go to Abu Dhabi to train under 19. Coming back all the way to Sharjah, trained these.
Yes. UAE senior team?
Yeah, and then after 1 or 2 sessions, my senior players, UAE players, said, "Look, we can't train because we have to go to the work and
We sleep, and we're
sleep
tired, we're
and
fatigued.
what
Yeah.
we'll do?" I said, "Okay, just give me 6 months. What is the biggest, achievement for a person or sportsman? Your family will be happy to see you. Your wives will be happy.
You will get money.
Your work, when you go to the work, your boss and your office will
You'll
like
get stars,
you.
Yeah.
In the ground, you will feel good, perform good, you will get more money. So what else you want? I just need your 6 months." And I said this, and I rolled my
Bag.
laces,
Yeah.
and I had like 25 laps off the ground.
Shoo.
And I said, "Look, this is what life is. Just give me 6 months. I'll go back." So after 6 months, there were few who lost 22 kgs, 18 kgs, 16 kgs.
I'm not sitting next to him in the show.
Okay? And then the first qualification under 19 in Malaysia, we did it. Got like $1 million in the kitty.
Good.
And then
Asia Cup.
in the T20, we qualified for the T20 World Cup,
Yeah.
which was in
2014.
14 in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, yeah.
And then the big one in New
You
Zealand.
qualified for, yeah.
Qualified for the 2015 World Cup.
Good stuff, yeah.
And 5 years ODI status.
And now I don't want to say that 4 of them are behind the bars.
And
Can I ask you a question? When you did not get any funds from the government, would that be because you didn't have any local individuals in
Yes.
the team?
Yes, that
Yes.
was the main thing.
All expats that you were dealing with?
expats,
Okay.
yes. And then, this is how you individually in trust. When I get there, you know what support staff I get? There was 2 drivers in the Sharjah Cup, Sharjah Stadium. They said, "Use them." I said, "Okay." So I made one guy analyst, another assistant coach, and that's it.
But,
So
sir,
I think
but the way
I
Aaqib
really
has-
enjoyed
yeah,
it.
But the way Aaqib has explained, it is really fascinating. But at the end of the day, we don't find UAE on
Anywhere
the globe,
now.
anywhere now. So it is again purely individual
Individual
and
effort.
optimized.
Yeah.
Now my question to you before we take our first break, to both of you is, like we know that ICC spends about $2.5 billion US every 8 years. They give $273 million to BCCI, $162 million to England Cricket Board, and $131 million each to the 6 test-playing nations, including Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan, and $94 million each to Afghanistan, Ireland, and the lesser team. So at the end of the day, do you really think that the infrastructure in Pakistan, the infrastructure in West Indies, it's suffering, and they are dishing out $270 million to the associate member teams, and in the end getting virtually nothing, not even in terms of the broadcasting value or making cricket popular? Don't you think that they could prioritize and help the main teams where you had the cricketing culture, the cricketing heritage?
I'm just getting a phone call from here. Doc, I mean, that's a huge question, as Viv has instantly recognised. I mean, there's a lot of money there.
Yeah.
And obviously, the ICC, the events, all these World Cups, T20,
Yeah,
50
exactly.
over, all these ICC events, which are huge money spinners.
Yeah.
It has to go somewhere. No easy answer. I think every individual country, if you are getting those sums of money in Pakistan, West Indies, it's a bonus, it's a boon. And the West Indies problem I know a little bit more about, but obviously Viv knows yet more. The costs of playing cricket in the Caribbean has always been expensive. Sponsors have not been huge.
The same
so
here
the balance
in-
is wrong. This is McCormick economics going
The same
wrong.
in Pakistan.
Pakistan, as you
Yeah,
say,
it's the
there's,
same,
but you need to play cricket in Pakistan, which of course I'm delighted to say is coming back.
Yeah.
And once you've got that, and support from crowds, support from sponsors, support from TV, and it's the problem that, of course, that our long-standing friend Ramiz, the chairman of the board now, he has to sort this out as well. He's got to allocate resources where they're needed. As a cricketer who understands what's needed in Pakistan, put the resources where they're needed to get the system working, to get the players coming through, to get success. And days like yesterday, of course, one off day, huge success both on the field and no doubt off it, raises interest, raises the whole bar. But yes, it's a hugely complicated thing. But ICC, they've got to try and support as many people as they possibly can.
Okay.
And if they're going to spread the game, if we're going to dream about the game going to places that at the moment are somewhere way down there in
But
terms
David,
of
the
the
counter
status.
argument is that soccer is played by almost 195 countries, but soccer is indigenous to all of these countries, and they have the players, the structure, they come up, it's part of their heritage, and that's the reason that even lesser teams, they qualify for the FIFA World Cups.
For
So
instance,
that's different.
For
But
instance,
in cricket,
Some of the issues, some of the issues that I know for sure would have happened over the years with some of these associated states. The fact that when monies are pumped into these organizations, no one ever really seen the product of where and how the money is spent.
it's governance.
Yeah.
I mean, USA is a prime example.
Thank you. That's a
USA is the prime example. It's a huge country with a huge expatriate, Asian, English, African, South African,
Caribbean.
it's there. Lurking in the USA, in amongst those 330 million people are a lot of cricket fans. Cricinfo's biggest hits come in the USA. They've got new cricket grounds built. Their organisation has been catastrophic. Money has disappeared, God knows where. They've been sacked by ICC. They've been dismissed.
Yeah.
That's the most appalling waste of time and money.
And that
So that
certainly,
people like that need to set an example.
and that certainly wouldn't enhance progress. And we've seen it for a number of years. And if you, as David said, put the proper organization in place, then you have a fair idea and their accountability for how the money is spent.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could see the scores before we take our break, the Afghanistan and the Scotland scores. And this is Afghanistan, Hazratullah Zazai, Usman Ghani unlikely to play today, Asghar Akhwan, previously known as Asghar Stanakzai, Najibullah Zadran, their top order batter, and then they have Hashmatullah Shahidi, again a very competent batsman, Gulbadin Naib, their seasoned all-rounder. Then they have Rahmanullah Gurbaz, another big hitter and a wicketkeeper and a batsman. Then there's Mohammad Shahzad, their main wicketkeeper and opener. Rashid Khan, the superstar, the rocking star. now presently in T20 internationals. Then Mujibur Rahman, a very competent bowler. Kareem Jannat is their bowler. Naveen al-Haq bowls a bit of pace. Hamid Hassan probably must be as old as Aaqib Javed, but he is making a comeback. And then we have Fareed Ahmed, the bowler. So I think this is now Scotland. Kyle Kodza, their captain, and then Dylan Butch, George Munzay, as we said, that he has played loads of international cricket now. Richie Barrington in the runs in the qualifiers. Michael Leask, and then Callum McLeod, one of their brightest stars. Josh Davey, a 31-year-old right-arm fast-medium bowler. Alistair Evans, and then Matthew Cross, a competent wicket-keeping batsman. Then Craig Wallace, unlikely to play in presence of Matthew. And then they have Chris Greaves, their star, against Bangladesh. Sufyan Sharif, as David has already told us about his heritage. And then Hamza Tahir, Mark Watt, and Bradley Wheel. So they have some good spinners and brilliant batsmen, David.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, but again, it comes down to how much you want to win, how much you come together as a team, because the lesser teams have to come together as more than the sum of the parts. It's a trick which, for instance, New Zealand used 10, 15, 20 years ago. Had some star players, but they always had huge team spirit, and when they started beating sides like England, it was because of that team spirit. So it's the same thing, dare I say it, at a slightly low level. It's a level down. But they've enjoyed their opportunity. I mean, Scotland are on a high. I was looking at some Twitter stuff the other day when they were beating Namibia at the end of their qualifying round. And the response in Scotland is akin to anything. You know, suddenly they wake up to cricket. There's an awful lot of cricket played in Scotland, I can promise you, but they wake up to it when there's a world stage. And a fellow called Gus Mackay runs cricket in Scotland at the moment, who's a friend and very devoted man to the cause. So they are absolutely loving this opportunity.
And they also get chances in minor counties and in league cricket.
Yeah, some of these guys have dabbled with county cricket. Yeah. Some of them have played high quality league cricket. Some of them have come from abroad, played cricket elsewhere. So they're not mugs. You know, they are talented to their level, and they're determined.
All right. So now
that shouldn't be a problem, really. Part of the British Isle.
Yeah.
They should have some know-how.
Yeah, you're right.
You would have heard Javed mention earlier how the technique and you see some sort of a product of the English game.
But cricket in Ireland has progressed. Now they are the full member of the ICC. Though again they have a benchmark, which is Afghanistan. The way Afghanistan is doing, they had already qualified for the Super 12s. So do you think there's much to be desired from both Ireland and Scotland?
The two teams would have done their utmost best to get to where they're at present.
Okay.
And this would be a fight between, if you could be naughty and say the minnows of such, trying to get themselves to that particular next level. The main aim, I believe, for these two teams is to take down some of the bigger countries.
All right.
Then you start to get yourself a little bit more recognized, which I think that's how we would have had the birth of Afghanistan and most of these other teams from the associated states into the bigger picture.
I mean, just briefly, the two teams, Ireland and Scotland, they are keen enemies.
Yeah.
So normally one is in, one is out of world competitions. Yeah. That seems to be the way it works. Ireland have this system which got them to test status, but their big problem will be sustaining it and making it either get better or even just keeping a level, because they have just sort of come down a little bit.
All right.
But they now have a proper first-class system, but it is inevitably a lot smaller than, say, England's or most of the other countries. So that problem of sustainability will not go away.
Yeah. Well, Afghanistan, they were coached by Rashid Latif, so they have to be hot-headed. Let me take the break and come back. Game on, we take a break and we'll be right back.